Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back. that's the next word in my intro there. Welcome back to Sunday Ramblings in Cube World, or Cube Ramblings, whichever you prefer. I'm just pulling out all the stops here and all the wording. For me, it is currently a Saturday night, August the 16th, 2014. Hope everybody's been having a great week. I've been doing pretty good this week, although, as I mentioned in my previous Minecraft videos with on Livecraft Mine, there, my foot's been a little bit tender this week, but thankfully it has already begun to heal up to the point where I can actually pretty much walk on it without any problems. It's still a little tender here and there, but still, it's not as bad as it has been at all. Not as bad at all. And last night, instead of doing Livecraft Mine as a live stream, I decided, you know what, I really want to get into Divinity Original Sin, which I've heard a lot of good things about. It's sort of a RPG, Baldur's Gate like, kind of RPG, top down. And because I'd heard that it's really good. It's almost as good as the original Baldur's Gate stuff was, and it really brings you back to that time. And that was a fantastic comparison. So I thought, let me do a live stream of this, and I'll record it, and then upload it as episodes on YouTube after I've edited, some of the downtime out of it. And I ended up playing for 4 hours, and honestly, the only thing that stopped me from continuing to play was that my voice was almost completely gone. Mostly because, and it's not when I'm doing my normal voice. My normal voice is fine. It's the fact that I keep trying to do all these other different voices, which is just ends up being just my normal voice, that just slightly different. And after a while, after you do that for a couple hours, you start to feel it in your throat and everything else. And that was the only thing that actually stopped me from continuing to play. I started at my normal time of 6:30 at night for me, and well until 10:30 at night I was still doing it. And I could have gone until 1 or 2, honestly, but it was a combination of my voice, plus also I didn't have anything more recorded for Watch Dogs. So what you saw of Watch Dogs go up Saturday was what I recorded after recording the live stream. And I think I'm seeing why people have decided that Watch Dogs really is not good. I'm going to keep playing it until it gets to a point where it's unbearable. It's not unbearable yet, but there are, the mission that I played last night was really terrible. I mean, just there was no reason for it to even exist ever. It was so bad. It almost turned me off the entire game, honestly. And I'm seeing a lot of weird, performance things I didn't see in my first playthrough, which is very strange. It's very strange that the probably the largest map, largest portion of the game, the very beginning of the game, where you had that whole stadium full of people, I got better frames per second in that part of the game than I did in the normal, just driving around. So weird stuff like that is kind of causing some interesting problems for me. And speaking of interesting problems, I also today tried to at least get past the one mission that I'm stuck on in Space Run, and there was nothing doing. Still, I tried it for about 2 hours and failed repeatedly, so I'm gonna have to go back and do some of the older missions again and see if I can get see if I can get 5 stars on them, I guess. It's trying to upgrade and everything. It's not working out. Not working out for me. So you're not going to see any videos of that anytime soon until I can actually get past the problem that I'm having, which is unfortunate. I like the game. It's just they made it freaking impossible, this one mission, and it looks like they've been updating the game because the UI is different now, and it remembers your choices and things like that. But it's this one mission is just kicking my butt. It's just kicking my butt, and I can't get past it. So hopefully I'll be able to do that at some point and continue that series. I don't want any of my series to die, unless there's a damn good reason for it. And I still have quite a few things that are dangling threads out there that need to be reweaved into the fabric of my channel. But I finding time and keeping enthusiastic for those things tends to be hard when you got all this new stuff that you're constantly pelted with. I mean, for me in particular, I am really in tune with the indie scene, and I'm constantly seeing updates and things like that, and new indie games coming out, and you know, early alphas and all that stuff, and I'm always, you know, kind of jittery and a little bit on the edge, like, oh, I want to go play this right now. But then on the other side of it, it's I feel like if I'm not recording stuff, and I know other YouTubers have said this too, but I feel like if I'm not recording stuff, I'm wasting time. Even though sometimes you just gotta do things on your own, it just feels like I should be recording or something, because I have so limited time as it is that it feels like I should be sharing some of that and should be towards a goal, which is also where this whole thing came up with Divinity Original Sin, where I was like, you know what, I know if it's going to be like a Baldur's Gate type of thing, there's going to be a lot of downtime, there's going to be a lot of dialogue, and I don't know how much of that translates well to YouTube versus Twitch. On Twitch, I mean, people do that all the time, so it's like, well, okay, it makes sense for me to live stream recording this and then edit it and put it up on YouTube, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. The audio has been a little bit weird because I'm recording it from OBS, so it has both my microphone audio and also the game audio in the same spot, or in the same track, so I can't really separate the two. I've been looking at ways of trying to separate the two and still do the live stream, and it's like it's not, I haven't found anything yet that actually works. I have virtual audio cable and stuff installed, and I cannot for the life of me get any of that to work in the way that I want it to, or work in the fashion I want it to. So the audio is going, I'll do my best to clean up the audio, as I always do when I post live streams up there, but you're just going to have to understand that there's only so much you can do. It's the old garbage in, garbage out stuff. But it's not incredibly terrible. It's just loud. The game audio versus my audio, my voice is a lot louder than the game audio because that's how I do my live streaming. But it's yeah, you'll see what I mean when you see it. It's still watchable, still listenable. It's just it's not quite as earthy. The earth tones are gone from it that you normally get from something like this. But that game is, I cannot say enough good things about that. That's the first 4 hours I've played of the game, and even though I only had 2 battles or something like that the whole time I was on there for 4 hours, it was mostly just NPC dialogue and everything. The dialogue in that game, it's just incredible. It's great. The story is what you would expect it to be so far, the overarching story. But the number of quests, I'm constantly getting quests, which is, I'm a big side quest guy. So if you don't like seeing people do side quests, you're gonna hate. You're going to hate what I do. But all the side quests so far have been very compelling. I haven't actually completed any of them yet because I've been gathering so many at once, and You know, the main story quest, all the dialogue is great. I mean, I sat there for hours on end just going through NPC dialogue because the NPC dialogue is just phenomenal. It's just great. I just love it. And when you have a game like that, you gotta have good writing. And this thing so far has had really good writing. So I'm hoping I have high hopes for the rest of the game, and it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a very long one. I was also kind of concerned, like, you know, I've never done a very long form RPG. I mean, the closest I've gotten to that was my Starpoint Gemini run through, so I wasn't sure how that would work out. I've been watching, you know, I watch Zisto and stuff, you know, as another YouTuber, and he's been playing Skyrim for the last 3 years. And I think he's already said that he's going to end it on episode 200, and he's at like 191, I believe, right now. And he still has, you know, at least 24 or 3 side quests just sitting in his inventory that he's just never going to do. You know what I mean? And my concern is that at some point, when you get a game like that, at some point you have to say, okay, this is it, I'm done. But at the same time, you know, I probably could play it for 3 years. I don't know. I'm one of those guys. It's like, you know, I get the sands shift all the time, and I want to move from one thing to the next and another thing, and you know, so I think it could probably hold my attention for that long, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, phenomenal. If you haven't picked up Divinity Original Sin, it's not early access or anything. It's fully released as far as I can tell. It's on Steam. It does have multiplayer. It's actually from what I could tell, drop in, drop out multiplayer as well. So you don't have to, you know, if somebody wants to join you every so often, they can. They just take control of one of your characters, and you actually have control of both of your characters, both of your main characters. So you actually control their dialogue between each other and everything else. You can disagree with yourself, which is pretty funny, and various other things. So it's really cool so far. I highly recommend it. It's tactical though. It's a tactical RPG. So when you go into fights, you have like a tactical grid that you have to walk around in and maneuver your people around in and have action points and all that stuff. So it's not real time battles, and it's not turn-based battles either. So I guess it's kind of turn-based, but it's not. It's tactical. So everything's still real time-ish. It's just you know, it's got a hybrid of the both. Anywho, I don't want to spend my entire episode here talking about Divinity Original Sin, even though I probably could. It's that good. You guys will get to see it soonish, hopefully. I have about 4 hours of footage to go through. Well, actually, literally 4 hours of footage to go through. I think it's like 3 hours and 55 minutes when I looked at it. It took it took Vegas about I would say 20 minutes to load it up into the timeline. And ironically, since I'm recording it from OBS, it's got the lower bit rate, so it 4 hours of footage was actually only about 4 gigs, or I think it was 42 gigs or something like that. So it was pretty small, honestly. I think 42 gigs it was. It was really small for 4 hours of footage. So that was a plus, a definite plus on that side. All right, so this week, lots and lots of gaming related stuff this week, because Gamescom was going on between the August the 12th and August the 17th. So it should be ending the day that you're the last day will be the day that you're watching this, the Sunday. So lots and lots of news coming out of there. Gamescom is sort of the E3 of Europe. It takes place in Germany. I believe it's in Cologne, Germany, that it takes place. And I say kind of E3 because there are a lot of major AAA titles that make their presence known there and make press releases and all that stuff. But it also tends to court more indie devs as well than the normal E3 tends to do. So I don't have that much in the way of indie news there, unfortunately, but I do have a lot in the way of AAA news. So we'll just kick this off with the BioWare Austin. BioWare Austin, those of us who have been in on the Destiny beta, I think if you checked off the yes, allow BioWare to send me email and stuff, you probably saw this weird email come down with some random video in it with live action kind of, it was live action video and like a CGI in it and shadow things and very little other information. But it turns out that they were waiting for Gamescom to announce a new title coming out of BioWare Austin. It's called Shadow Realms, and it is obviously it's an RPG game, which tends to be what BioWare does. I mean, that's what they do best. It's kind of, from what I can tell, based on the video, and obviously the link that I give you in the description will take you to some of the videos of it. It's, from what I can tell, it's like Neverwinter Nights, the module where you could, so the original Neverwinter Nights, you could have dungeon masters in it, and you could have sort of form a party and go off and just have a dungeon master create a map for you, and you could then take control, and that was sort of the multiplayer mode of Neverwinter Nights. It's sort of taking that and making it a core piece of the game. So the idea is there's 5 people, 4 people playing co-op, and 1 who's being the quote-unquote dungeon master, or as they're calling it, the Shadow Lord, right? And the premise is that you're all, the 4 of you are modern heroes from Earth, and you are in the process of fighting some what are called the Shadow Legions, which are just these weird magic creatures that come from a completely parallel universe or something called Embra, and you're basically taking them on with your reawakened magical powers that you have as a modern human being. And the idea is the 4 of you go through an instance. It looks like they're all instance dungeons that take place in Umbra. Or Embra, sorry. Not Umbra. And a 5th person then becomes the Shadow Lord, and they have control over the realm that you're in and what you're doing, and what traps are there and what monsters spawn and all that stuff. Basically the Dungeon Master role. Now the idea is that you can have your own private party, right, of 5 people, or you just go online and you get a random party of 4 other people who then get divvied up, 1 to the Shadow Lord and the rest as the players playing against the Shadow Lord. It sounds to me like it's a sort of a poor man's multiplayer kind of thing, where you just kind of, you go into instances. It's like, what was that other game that I always forget the name of it? Spiral Knights. I've played that game on my channel a little bit in the, it was part of my, my pub crawl series that is now defunct. And in that, it's kind of the same premise, right? It's an RPG, and it's an MMO RPG, and you go, and every time you go on a mission, you go into a different instance, and then 3 other people are randomly picked who happen to go into that instance with you, and you're all teamed up in a co-op, and you have to go through and fight stuff. It's pretty much the same premise as that, from what I can tell. So it looks interesting. I mean, it's from BioWare. They do RPGs. There's going to be, they say, some sort of videos and stuff around it that will, as the world continues, as they continue to mold it and as players play, that they'll have some sort of, I don't know if it's live action or what, videos that come around it to explain the backstory of what's going on and all that stuff. So it's interesting. And it seems like the theme running through a lot of things that I'm seeing right now is that a lot of these AAA games companies are trying to be movies. It really is. They're really, really courting Hollywood, or Hollywood's really, really courting them. One or the other. I'm not quite sure. I think it might be more of Hollywood trying to court them at times, because of how much money is being made in gaming. But yeah, a lot of these games I'm going to be talking about have some sort of series, television series or otherwise, that are going to be sort of spawned around them to try to drive, I guess, eyeballs from the computer, from the game to the TV. And I guess, you know, it also shows you the changing times, right? Where it's like people are giving up their cable subscriptions and just using internet for everything, and using Netflix for everything, and it's just, you know, all these traditional companies like Warner Brothers and whatnot are going, oh my God, everybody's leaving us. We gotta we gotta turn this around. We gotta pull them back. They're all playing video games, these video games. So it's. I think some of that's coming into play as well. We'll see as I go through my list here. So that was Shadow Realms, and not much else I can say about that, because the video was like 4 minutes long and it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. Next one on the list here, the one that I'm interested in, probably the first Battlefield game that I've actually ever been interested in, I would have to say, is Battlefield Hardline. And my intention is to pre-order that. I don't know if I have to look through my receipts here. I don't know if I pre-ordered it yet or not. I have so many outstanding things that I don't know what, you know, I do so many Kickstarter things and everything else that I have no idea what I'm waiting for and what I'm not waiting for anymore. But Battlefield Hardline is sort of taking the Battlefield franchise in a slightly different direction, and instead of it being a military shooter, it's becoming a semi-military shooter where it's going to focus on cops or former cops or whatever it is, basically a cops and robbers sort of gameplay mechanic. And from their Gamescom press conference, they showed about 12 minutes, I would say, of the game. I don't know what part of the game was. I think it seems like it's the very beginning of the game, based upon what I saw there. But I obviously have a link to that for you to go take a look at it. I like what I'm seeing. I like some of the mechanics that they're showing off with the freeze mechanic, and by freeze I mean literally the guy yells freeze like a cop, and sometimes the bad guys will drop their weapons and actually comply, which is interesting. It's different. It's certainly a different mechanic. And then, you know, you can handcuff guys and all that stuff. So some interesting things going on there. You have it's got the old magical cell phone that does everything. So it's a scanner. It tells you where people are at. It allows you to tag enemies, and then it will also do facial recognition on them to say, hey, this is a high value target, and if you capture that guy, you know, they have like an outstanding warrant on them or something, you get an little extra bonus and all that fun stuff. So it's got all the the usual mechanics that you would expect from a Battlefield game, but it also, you know, some of the MacGuffins and stuff, but also it looks like it has some additional things that make sense for the story, make sense for the world, and hopefully I'm really interested in it. I want to pre-order it. If I haven't already pre-ordered it, I'm going to, because it has certainly piqued my interest. That said, I know that a lot of people, the running joke is that you don't really buy a Battlefield or a Call of Duty game for the single player. You buy them for the multiplayer. From what I've heard, the multiplayer kind of sucks. From what I've seen, it's not much to it. It's not really that much fun. It looks to me like they focused a little bit more on the single player, which is why I guess it's interesting more to me than anything else. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that I don't have the kind of time necessary to be good at anything. And when you try to do multiplayer for like Call of Duty or Battlefield or something like that, it's not fun. Over time, it's just not fun. It's fun for the other guys who are constantly killing you, but it's not really fun for you because you don't have that kind of time to put in to actually be good at it. And also, as I'll allude to a little bit later in another one of these items that I have on my list here, I'm an old man. I am an old man. My reflexes are not anything like they used to be, and my reflexes used to be really bad as it was, so you can imagine how bad they are now. I was never into sports or anything like that, so because my hand-eye coordination is rather terrible. It's also the reason why I don't bother with any kind of weapons of any sort of that, as my fellow American brethren tend to do, because I'll be more likely to shoot myself in the foot than I would to actually hit anything. So that's what I got for Battlefield Hardline. Looks rather interesting. Link you to a video on Polygon there that gives you a look at the very beginning of the game and of the story, the single player story. I think that if they do a good job with the single player story, then I will be satisfied. I will be completely satisfied with it. Some additional information from Ubisoft about The Crew. This game I've definitely pre-ordered. I remember that. I remember that much. And I've pre-ordered it for the PC. Hopefully my PC can handle it, given the recent problems I've had with Watch Dogs. But it is a open world racing game. Takes place in the United States, and it's actually there actually was a video. I had a link to it a while ago, but I never actually talked about it in any of these episodes, so I never had the opportunity to use it. And now I've lost it. But it's there was a video that somebody put up of the beta. I think it was the beta for The Crew, where they actually drove cross country, and it took them, I think, 40 minutes to drive cross country. So it's a very, very compressed view of the United States, which makes sense. I mean, you're not going to put the entire United States into a video game because it's not going to be that interesting. There's not that much, believe it or not that much change between. There's a drastic change between the East Coast and the West Coast, but there's not a whole lot of change in the central part of the country. So it makes entire sense to me to cut most of that out. It's a very gradual change, let's put it that way. So the announcement that they made at Gamescom is that The Crew's coming out for PC and all the next gen consoles, and we've been saying next gen consoles constantly, but we also decided that we're going to backport it to the Xbox 360. Not to the PS3, but to the Xbox 360. So if you have a 360 and you don't see yourself buying an Xbox One, which I can pretty much understand. If there's been one prevailing thread throughout a lot of the news coming from Gamescom, it's that Xbox is not getting that much love from the AAAs. At least not that much exclusive love from the AAA's. Sony has been just taking them to school. I mean, the PS4, that's all you see are in there. PS4 this, PS4 this, PS4 that, PS4 this, PS4 that. I stand by my decision not to buy a PS4 because I've bought a PS3 and I never used it. But there might come a time when I have to finally just admit defeat and bring a PS4 into my life. But I'm going to try to bring a new computer into my life first before I do that. So yeah, if you still own a 360 like me, or you only own a 360 and not an Xbox One, you might want to pick up The Crew now, because it's going to be on the 360 November 11th, along with all the other platforms that it's slated for. So there you go with that. That's some more news there. And then we'll have some news for those of you who enjoy the Might and Magic series of games. What's the last one I played? I briefly played, I think, 3 Heroes of Might and Magic 3, I think it was, back in the day. And I didn't buy the game, so I only played like the demo of it. And I think when I played it, I was still a poor college kid, so that was many years ago. So it might have been even 2 or 1 at that point. But it was interesting to me. I liked the turn-based strategy aspect of it. But it was never interesting enough for me to actually pick it up. And then I looked at a lot of YouTube videos of Heroes of Might and Magic 6, I think it was, or whatever the most recent one was. And it was even more interesting to me now. I guess being a little bit older and having actual money for things kind of gives you a different perspective and gives you the option to try some things out. But it does seem to be a little bit more appealing to me now, in my later years. That said, I looked at Heroes of Might and Magic Hero 7, which is the new one coming out, and it looks okay. I can't really... I couldn't tell much from the video. It was all pretty much pre-rendered cutscenes and very little actual gameplay footage. But I imagine the gameplay is very similar to all the other games. And I've always been on the fence. I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy Heroes of Might and Magic or not. I don't know. It's always been a debate in my mind, and I've always kind of put it aside and said, I'll look at other things. And then, of course, in traditional fashion, 900 other video games come down that I want to play first, and then I never get around to it. So I don't know, if you're into the Heroes of Might and Magic series, this number 7 coming out might be interesting to you. The plot behind it is the Holy Empire is in a civil war after the murder of the Empress, and a council of 6, a shadow council, if you will, is formulated to try and, to test the might of several heroes and try to elect the next heir to the throne. So that will be coming out. That's slated for coming out in 2015 for the PC. I don't think any other consoles or anything were announced for it. I think it was just PC announced right now for 2015. So there you go. You got a little wait ahead of you, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who will be ready to jump aboard of that as soon as that ship sails. So much more things have been announced during Gamescom. Invisible Ink, and now this is where I'm sort of getting into the indies. This is one of the reasons why I kind of like Gamescom, is that you do hear a bunch about some of the indie stuff as well. Invisible Ink is, I believe, an indie title. I did not write down who's making it, unfortunately. But it is a procedural, turn-based stealth game. It's very reminiscent of... Oh, I wish I had written this down, but it's very, very... those of you who might know Evil Genius, that game, which was sort of a take on Dungeon Keeper, but only with the Evil Genius type of thing, and then you sort of mix that with No One Lives Forever kind of thing. Although No One Lives Forever was a spy thriller thing, but that was a first person shooter. This is not a first person shooter. This is still a third person tactical view, and also it reminds me a lot of Starfleet, Star Trek Away Team. Yeah, that's the one I wanted to compare it to. It's also a game that I've been trying to get working so I can record it for you guys, because I love that game. It's basically, you control your characters from the top down. You know, click on boxes. It's turn-based with sort of a puzzle kind of aspect to it. So your people are supposed to be spies. They're supposed to be stealthy. Supposed to get in, do some corporate espionage and various other things, and steal stuff, and then get out without being detected. And there's various things you can do. You can, cause distractions. You can hack into terminals and make the drones, the security drones, fight each other or kill enemies for you, and various other things. Just a whole lot of different things that you can do to sort of slip in and slip out without there being too much, without anybody knowing that you were there. It's kind of like, that's one of the things that appealed to me about Hitman, the Hitman series, which I picked up on GOG, but I have yet to play. I played a lot of the demos of it, and I liked the fact that you can sort of disguise yourself, and there's multiple ways of getting through getting through the objectives. The thing I didn't like about it was that it was a very, very difficult game sometimes, just extremely difficult for me to sort of wrap my brain around some of the stuff that you had to do there. You had to be it kind of had to be twitchy finger a little bit, which is why the turn-based aspect of this really has me interested, because I can kind of sit there and just think about stuff. That was the thing that, like I said, with Hitman, it was like, there were guards on patrol and all this stuff, and also Thief was another one. It was like the original Thief. I haven't played the remake one, but the original Thief was like the same way, where it's like, I like the idea of being able to sneak in and grab stuff, but I can't think on my feet. You know what I mean? So I need time to sit there and just think. I want to be able to pause. I want to be able to see things going on and be in a spot where I can do stuff. And a lot of those games do not. They punish you for doing that. Thief. I remember. You could find a nice little corner to hide in, but eventually, you get tired of hiding there because the guards patrols are not. You can't see them too well, and various other things. And I think having the top-down view helps you really see that stuff. That's why, I contrast that to the Star Trek Away Team, which I think was fantastic. It was the same way. It was like, you're stealthy, you're trying to walk in and get out, do what you got to do and get out without anybody seeing you, without arousing too much suspicion, and you've got the whole view of the whole place. You're not in first person view where you can't see half the things and you have to kind of guess what's going on and all that stuff. So, and different strokes for different folks. I like the top down-ish, being able to plan things out versus the crap. I'm stuck in the I'm stuck in the world. I would rather just bash heads and get through this thing. So that game, Invisible Ink, is coming to Steam on the 19th. So a few days away from here. If you want to take a look at it, there's some videos there on Steam of the gameplay. I'll link you to the Polygon article on it, but it's very interesting. I'm not probably not going to be an early adopter to it, but I might, I might plunk down some money on it. We'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to. I have so many things in my queue here that it's impossible for me to keep everything straight anymore. And then Crytek, the makers of the Crytek engine as well as various other things, they announced a new game, a MOBA game called Arena of Fate. Now I have my likes and my dislikes of MOBA games. I have never played League of Legends. I have never played Dota 2, although I actually own Dota 2. Somebody actually gave it to me. So I try not to say anything bad about Dota 2 because it was given to me as a gift. But I've never actually played it. So those games they're a little too hardcore for me. They tend to be, they're very punishing because you got to play with other players, and if you don't play the way that they want you to play, then you're a detriment to the team, and then they get upset because their enjoyment of the game is tied to you being actually half decent, and I don't like that. I like the MOBAs that are a little bit more casual. I like Awesome Nuts. I like what I'm seeing from Heroes of the Storm, although, God help me, I can't freaking get beta access to that thing. So I can't play it. So I'm waiting with bated breath for that. And Arena of Fate, I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I looked at the video for it. It looks very close to, what is that one? It's not League of Legends, but it's the bastard stepchild of League of Legends that has all the cartoony stuff in it. I think it's called HOMM, HOMM, or something like that. Heroes of Might and Magic. No, I was just talking about Heroes of Might and Magic. No, it's something else. It's like, I don't remember. But it's very much, I mean, they could have pretty much copied, the UI was pretty much copied from like League of Legends and stuff, and all those, the Dota and the League of Legends sort of MOBA games. That's exactly what the UI looks like in this game. But the difference here is they're capping the games at 20 minutes, and the characters are all storybook characters for the most part. So it's all like cartoony and stuff, and they have, you can play as Red Riding Hood and Alice in Wonderland, the crazy Alice, and what was the other one that I saw on there? There was a couple that they kind of wound their way through really quickly. And it's a MOBA. So if you're into the MOBA stuff, maybe you want to take a look at that and see if it's something you'd like. It's, as I said, it looks closer to Dota and League of Legends than it does, say, Heroes of the Storm and Awesome Nuts. So I'm on the fence. I've actually put my name in to see if I can get into the beta so I can actually take a look at it. I won't record that because I have a feeling that they're going to have like NDAs and stuff on that. But I at least want to get my hands on it and see if it's something that I would enjoy. It's, from what I can tell, it's going to be free to play, and then obviously all the perks that you have to buy and all that stuff. So we'll see what it looks like. The other game that I have seen information about prior to Gamescom, but I never actually took a look at it. I've had a hard time actually getting real information on what kind of game it is Middle-earth: The Shadow of Mordor. Now, obviously I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. I have not played any of the real Lord of the Rings games because most of them kind of aren't the type of game that I like, or they just downright suck. But every time I see one come out, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll pick this one up and see what this looks like. The problem with this game has been up to this point is I didn't know what the hell game it was. Like, is it a tactical game? Is it a turn-based game? Is it a puzzle game? I mean, who the hell knows, right? And it took me about at least a half an hour tonight. Just, I looked at the Polygon article and it didn't tell me a damn thing. I watched the video on there and it didn't tell me a damn thing. And so, because it's all the videos are like the pre-rendered cutscenes, and I'm like, well, this is not, you're not telling me what's going on here. So I finally went through. I'm linking you to the actual official site. On there is some videos that actually show you some of the gameplay and stuff, and it looks to me like it's action RPG, so in the style of, say, Fable, which I've played Fable, not the original Fable. I played Fable 2 and Fable 3, and I liked both of those games. And so if it's got those same mechanics, and it looks like it does, it's right up my alley. So I think I probably am going to put my name in the hat there and say this is probably a game that you'd enjoy if you enjoy sort of the action RPG games like Fable and whatnot. The story, from what I can gather, is that you are a ranger who was assigned to the Black Gate. And then Sauron comes by and's like, hey, you die. And you die. But one of the ring wraiths is sort of not on board entirely with Sauron for whatever reason. I don't know. We don't know all the backstory there. And he possesses your body, brings you back to life, gives you the ability to plains walk, or well, shadow walk, or whatever it's called, and then you go around just beating people up. And now the interesting thing is, as you come across some of the, what do they call them? The nemesis. They have a nemesis system. So as you come across some of the Urukai and whatnot that are like the boss monsters, depending on how you fight them and how successful you are, they remember you, and they get either more powerful or less powerful. So if you beat the stuffing out of one to the point where he runs away, he retreats, he might be easier to deal with later on, or he might join your side, join your forces with you. If, on the other hand, one of the boss monsters kills you, and then you're resurrected, the next time you face that guy, he's more powerful, he remembers that he killed you, and there's various dialogue to that effect that takes place in the game, and it makes it a little bit more dynamic. It's kind of cool, actually. It's a neat little mechanic from what I can tell from the videos of pre-rendered cutscenes. But yeah, I have a bug to pick with a lot of these AAA, games companies. For the love of God, just tell me what genre your game is in. Tell me something about your game. Just don't give me a website with a bunch of videos that are pre-rendered cutscenes and I can't tell what the hell the game is. Give me some blurb or something. I mean, if I have to go to your Steam page to find out what the hell the game is, and I can't find that because I can't find it on your official site, you done fucked up. I'm just telling you right now. That's not right. That's what I have to say about that. They showed off at Gamescom a new trailer that takes place with Smeagol, namely, oh God, his name. I can remember his Hobbit name, but I can't remember his Gollum. Gollum, that's what it is. Smeagol / Gollum, feigning loyalty to you and all that stuff. So some interesting things going on there, and sort of the periphery of, I believe it takes place during the Fellowship of the Ring, if I'm not mistaken. So you're kind of on the periphery and doing your own thing while that's continuing on. So very interesting stuff, especially if you like the Lord of the Rings stuff like I do, and you like action adventure RPGs. So there you go. Excuse me. My voice still hasn't quite returned yet. So another game that looks actually fantastic, and I watched the trailer actually twice because I heard about this game and I heard what it was compared to, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play that. And then I just watched the trailer for it, and I'm like, yeah, I want to play this. It's called Quantum Break. It's from the company that brought you Alan Wake, and it looks a lot and plays a lot like Alan Wake, which is why when I initially looked at it, I was like, I don't know. I was not really into Alan Wake. I don't like the gimmicks, you know, like, you gotta shine a light on something before you can pump it full of bullets and all that stuff. And they still have some of those gimmicks in here, but they've taken more of the sci-fi instead of the fantasy-ish turn to it, and the horror turn, because horror games, I laugh at horror games all the time, so I can't play a horror game because it's just too stupid to me most of the time. But this one's got more of the sci-fi theme. You have, instead of shining flashlights at enemies, you actually have time bubbles. You can shoot them at guys and freeze time, and then pump them full of lead, and then time restores, and they and they get annihilated by your bullets and all that stuff. And you can move quickly between cover. A lot of cover mechanics in the video that I will link you to. And it's the idea is that there's a corporation that can manipulate time, and it's because of that they're bringing upon them the end of the world, the end of time, and you're somehow have been infected, and you have the abilities as well to freeze time, and you're trying to fight against them and you know, save the world from the end of the world, that kind of thing. It looks really cool. I like the pew-pewing of it, and you know, with the regular guns and a lot of the cover mechanics. It looked really fast paced. It looked a lot like the game that I kickstarted called Super Hot, where you're doing a lot of this, you know, slow motion stuff and bullet dodging and all that crap. And a lot of people have compared it to God, what was that name? What was that game? Max Payne. Yeah, with the bullet time stuff and whatnot. So, and he actually, the protagonist actually looks a lot like Max Payne, as has been mentioned. So, I think it look really cool. This is the other part of this, and this is where I was getting into the whole TV realm thing. Is that apparently, in addition to the game, they're looking at having a live-action TV series that's going to be released alongside the game, and based upon the I guess they're going to aggregate the player choices in the game, and who, you know, based upon everybody who's picked up the game and played the game, they're going to look at the choices that they've made, some of the major choice hubs, and mold the TV series after those choices that have been made. So they're actually filming alternate scenes that will then come into play when they see the statistics of what players have chosen and what they haven't chosen as far as the game goes. So yeah, that's another one of those, we're muddying the lines between TV and video games because too many people are playing video games and ignoring TV, and we need to bring them back. That kind of thing. And I expect that we're going to see a heck of a lot more of this as it comes through. So I think we're going to have to get used to this, because there's going to be the great melding. The great melding has begun. So I hope you like having your innards melted into various other people, because we are all going to be Borg by the time this is over and done with, unless somebody comes back and says, yeah, you know what, this is getting ridiculous. Resistance is futile. Or I'm sorry, resistance is not futile. I should do the opposite of that. So yeah, Quantum Break. You might want to take a look at that and see if that is something up your pike. Like I said, it's got all the trappings of sci-fi in it, so immediately it overrides my notion of this looks a little bit too much like Alan Wake, and I don't know if I want to do this. But oh my God, it's got time manipulation. It's now on top of my list. I'm such a damn sucker for that stuff. I just can't help it. I'm so into science fiction that I just can't help myself sometimes. But anyway, I think, let's see, what else do I have on here? I have a lot of stuff that I have not touched upon, even stuff from last week. And there's still more stuff from Gamescom that I have not touched upon. But I think, I think we got through quite a bit through my list here. There's still quite a lot more. But I think at this point, I'm going to end the episode here and save some of this for next week. Save it for the sequel. But thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And as always, I will see you next Sunday.